Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, the 26th of May, the last Wednesday in May. Who knows where the time goes? We remain in our provincial lockdown, but numbers and hospitalizations continue to fall, so all good signs that the third wave is beginning to ebb. By Friday, vaccines should be open to anyone 12 and up. And yesterday, Dr. Strang and Premier Rankin indicated that we are ahead of our vaccine schedule, so second doses will come sooner than expected. So once again, keep following the guidelines, limit your travel and personal connections, book a vaccine, and make testing part of your own strategy. Until things change, we remain with online services and online meetings only. As I've mentioned before, the office is staffed daily and phone messages and emails are monitored. So if you have any need or know of someone that does, don't hesitate to contact us. A reminder as well that the front entry to the Diocesan Center is open 8:30 to 2, Monday to Friday, and there is a mail slot for anyone wishing to drop off correspondence or donations. This Sunday, Trinity Sunday, the plan is to have Bishop Sandra prepare a recorded message to be shared throughout the diocese, so through the wonders of technology, she can be preaching in every church in the diocese at the same time. Along with this Wednesday information sharing, join us for morning prayer, Mondays through Saturdays. A big thank you to those of our congregation who have committed themselves to this daily spiritual practice. We also have a return of the popular Pray As You Can series, Monday evenings, 6:30 via Zoom. That will resume June 7th and run through the 28th. Join Heather and Francis for this series where you will pray with Benedict of Nursia, Ignatius of Loyola, Hilda of Whitby, and Henry Nouwen. Discover how prayer sustained them and how they each continue to guide us through their practice. Also Thursdays at 6:30, online meditation, also via Zoom. To connect with either or both of those sessions, send an email to prayasucan3, the number 3, @gmail.com. Because of the return to online classes for the public schools, we're taking a break from online Sunday school to give young people a chance to do something besides look at a TV screen. But we'll continue to provide lessons based on the Sunday lections and craft ideas for young people on the Cathedral's website under the Information tab. I'd love to see any pictures or news of what folks are doing out there at home. Maybe you're planting a garden, maybe you have an update picture of a tree you planted from last year, or the posters you made for Pentecost. A reminder also of the Anglican Foundation's project Say Yes for Kids, a campaign to raise funds for creative post-pandemic programs for young people. Your generosity in donating to this fund will help invest in a brighter future for children, youth, and young adults, supporting better learning outcomes, diverse enrichment opportunities, improved health and well-being, and restored faith and community connections. Here in Nova Scotia, we're partnering with our Diocesan Environment Network of Nova Scotia and PEI. They're putting out a challenge for you to do some spring cleaning of the environment. May 23rd to June 13th, take part in this family-friendly litter cleanup initiative. Invite friends and family to support your efforts and showcase what you've accomplished through social media. More details are available on our diocesan website. Now here's a somewhat random birthday reminder for this day in history. On this day in 1907, a boy by the name of Marion Robert Morrison was born. He grew up in Southern California, and as a child he was always seen in the company of his dog, an Airedale named Duke. And so people gave him the nickname Little Duke. Well, Little Duke didn't stay little. He eventually grew to a height of 6 feet 4.5 inches and almost 190 pounds. He played football in high school and received a scholarship to play football for the University of Southern California when he graduated. His football coach lined him up with a part-time job as an assistant props hand on a movie studio, working for the director John Ford. After being used as a stand-in on occasional scenes, he at last was given a fuller part, and the rest is history. Duke Morrison, as his first credits identified him, eventually took the stage name John Wayne. The Duke appeared in 179 film and television productions and is considered one of the most popular film stars of all time. Despite his larger-than-life persona, he was a humble and gentle man. His grave went unmarked for almost 20 years after he died in 1979, but eventually the place was marked with a plaque and a quote which reads, "Tomorrow is the most important thing in life. It comes into us at midnight very clean. It's perfect when it arrives and puts itself in our hands. It hopes we've learned something from yesterday." And in the church's calendar today is a commemoration for St. Augustine of Canterbury. James Kiefer, in the book Lesser Feasts and Fast, notes, Christianity came to the British Isles sometime in the early 4th century. Some scholars believe that it was introduced by missionaries from the eastern or Greek-speaking half of the Mediterranean world. Celtic Christianity had its own distinctive culture, and Greek scholarship flourished in Ireland for several centuries after it had died elsewhere in Western Europe. However, in the 5th century, Britain was invaded by non-Christian Germanic tribes, the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes. They conquered the native Celtic Christians, driving them north and west into Cornwall, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. From these regions, Celtic Christian missionaries eventually returned to England to preach the gospel to the heathen invaders. Meanwhile, the Bishop of Rome, Gregory the Great, decided to send monastic missionaries from Rome, led by their prior Augustine. They arrived in Kent, the southeast corner of England, in 597, and the king, whose wife was a Christian, allowed them to settle there and begin a preaching ministry. Their preaching was successful as people were hungry for the good news of salvation, and they made thousands of converts in a very short time. In 601, the king himself was converted to Christianity and baptized. Augustine was consecrated bishop and established his headquarters at Canterbury. And from that day to the present day, there has been an unbroken succession of archbishops of Canterbury. Now, for our song, poem, and prayer today, I take inspiration from tonight's full moon and lunar eclipse. While we won't see the eclipse here in the east due to the hour at which the Earth will pass directly between the sun and the moon, cutting off the sun's reflection to the moon, it apparently will be quite spectacular and mid-evening on the west coast, and Hawaii is the place to be. The moon also carries the name flower moon or blood moon. Flower moon to indicate spring blossoms are now appearing, and hopefully that it is time for safe planting. The name has been used by indigenous peoples across North America for centuries. And blood moon comes from the orange-red tint of the moon's reflected light as the Earth passes between the sun and the moon, and the sunlight is colored as it passes through the Earth's atmosphere. Now, there are countless poems that make reference to the moon. One of my all-time favorites that I once committed to memory in high school is one by Alfred Noyes called The Highwayman. It begins, "The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, and the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. It's a wonderful poetic ballad. Look that one up. But I discovered a poem called A Solar Eclipse by a poet named Ella Wheeler Wilcox, a fascinating woman. And although you may not recognize her name, you may know the lines of another poem she wrote after she encountered a fellow train traveler as she was heading to a conference. The woman was distraught with grief, and after offering her what comfort she could, Ella would later reflect on that incident and write these words: "Laugh, and the world laughs with you. Weep, and you weep alone. For the sad old earth must borrow its mirth, but has trouble enough of its own." That poem, titled Solitude, would be published in the New York Sun in 1883, netting Ella Wilcox $5. Ella Wilcox was born on a farm in Johnstown, Wisconsin, November 5th, 1850. And the family would later move north to Madison, Wisconsin, after her father's business failed. Around the age of 8, Ella turned to writing poetry as an outlet. When she was 13 years old, her first poem was published. After losing her subscription to the New York Mercury, being unable to afford to resubscribe, Wilcox thought that if she could get something published, she would at least receive a free copy of the paper in which it was printed. In 1884, she married Robert Wilcox of Connecticut, and they would share 30 happy years together. They promised that whoever died first would find a way to communicate back to the other. So when he died in 1916, she was overcome with grief that no message came. She consulted a spiritualist on the West Coast by the name of Max Hindell, who offered her this sage wisdom. From the Wikipedia page: Mr. Hindell assured me that I would come in touch with the spirit of my husband when I learned to control my sorrow. I replied that it seemed strange to me that an omnipotent God could not send a flash of his light into a suffering soul to bring it conviction when most needed. "Did you ever stand beside a clear pool of water," asked Mr. Hindell, "and see the trees and skies repeated therein? And did you ever cast a stone into that pool and see it clouded and turmoiled so that it gave no reflection? Yet the skies and trees were waiting above to be reflected when the waters grew calm again. So God and your husband's spirit wait to show themselves to you when the turbulence of sorrow has quieted." So here is the poem by Ella Wheeler Wilcox titled A Solar Eclipse. In that great journey of the stars through space, about the mighty all-directing sun, the pallid faithful moon has been the one companion of the earth. Her tender face, pale with the swift, keen purpose of that race, which at time's natal hour was first begun, shines ever on her lover as they run, and lights his orbit with her silvery smile. Sometimes such passionate love doth in her rise, down from her beaten path she softly slips, and with her mantle veils the sun's bold eyes. Then in the gloaming finds her lover's lips. While far and near the men our world call wise, see only that the sun is in eclipse. Ella Wheeler Wilcox, A Solar Eclipse. And a song about the moon, there are lots of those as well. Harry Nilsson's The Moonbeam Song, a great, comforting, quieting song, or Dancing in the Moonlight by King Harvest. But last night as I was out walking and seeing the big moon, I found myself humming Moon River. That's a song composed by Henry Mancini, lyrics by Johnny Mercer, written for the 1961 movie Breakfast at Tiffany's, which was adapted from Truman Capote's 1958 novella of the same name. And it starred Audrey Hepburn as Holly Golightly, a naive, eccentric girl who falls in love with a struggling writer played by George Peppard. The film received 5 nominations at the 34th Academy Awards: Best Actress for Hepburn, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Production Design. It won Best Original Score and Best Original Song for Moon River. The film is considered culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant by the U.S. Library of Congress and was selected to be preserved in the National Film Registry in 2012. The song, again, Moon River, performed by Audrey Hepburn, won the Academy Award for Best Original Song, the 1962 Grammy Award for Record of the Year, and Song of the Year. So the song picked for today, Moon River. As a closing prayer, the Canticle of the Sun, also known as the Canticle of the Creatures, is a poem or song or litany composed by St. Francis of Assisi. It was written in an Umbrian dialect of Italian, and it is believed to be among the first works of literature, if not the first written in the Italian language. It is a litany of praise to God for all of creation, including brother sun and sister moon. Francis writes, Most high, all-powerful, good Lord, all praise is yours, all glory, all honor, and all blessing. To you alone, Most High, do they belong. No mortal lips are worthy to pronounce your name. All praise be yours, my Lord, through all you have made. And first, my Lord, brother sun, who brings the day, and through whom you give us light. How beautiful is he, how radiant in all his splendor. Of you, Most High, he bears the likeness. All praise be yours, my Lord, through sister moon and the stars. In the heavens you have made them bright and precious and fair. All praise be yours, my Lord, through brothers, wind and air, and fair and stormy all the weather's moods, by which you cherish all that you have made. All praise be yours, my Lord, through sister water, so useful, humble, precious, and pure. All praise be yours, my Lord, through brother fire, through whom you brighten up the night. How beautiful is he, how cheerful, full of power and strength. All praise be yours, my Lord, through our sister Mother Earth, who sustains us and governs us and produces various fruits, colored flowers, and herbs. All praise be yours, my Lord, through those who grant pardon for love of you, through those who endure sickness and trial. Happy are those who endure in peace. By you, Most High, they will be crowned. All praise be yours, my Lord, through sister Death, from whose embrace no mortal can escape. Woe to those who die in mortal sin. Happy those she finds doing your will. The second death can do them no harm. Praise and bless my Lord, and give him thanks, and serve him with great humility. Amen. Keep in touch, stay safe, keep the faith, until we meet again.